This episode is brought to you by DistroKid.
It's that time of year again. Everyone knows that the holidays can become overwhelming quickly, so the sooner that you get things done, the better. For both shoppers and businesses, the best time to score great deals during the holidays is Black Friday and Cyber Monday weekend. And that's why you need Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., from household names like Allbirds and Cowboy e-bikes to entrepreneurs who will be participating in their very first Black Friday or Cyber Monday this year. Shopify has everything you need to succeed from start to finish. First, Shopify's marketing tools help push your brand to the forefront of the chaos, no matter what platform your customers are on. Then, Shopify helps draw customers in with the ease of a convenient checkout with Shop Pay, Shopify's expedited checkout that saves customers information and reduces hassle. The best part? Shop Pay has been proven to boost conversions, meaning you see less abandoned carts and more profits. You can also stress less knowing that Shopify's award-winning customer support team is on standby 24/7 to help with any issues that arise, allowing you to get back to business as fast as possible. This Black Friday, join thousands of new entrepreneurs hearing for the first time with Shopify. Sign up for your free trial today at shopify.com/income. That's shopify.com/income. Go to shopify.com/income and make this Black Friday one to remember.
Hey, hard rock metalheads. Today we bring you Legends Amplified, a look back at the career of the late, great Ozzy Osbourne. Join me and very special guest co-host Jaret Reddick from Bowling for Soup as we talk all things Ozzy Osbourne, as well as break down the writing, recording, and our lyrical interpretation of Ozzy's 1986 smash hit single, Shot in the Dark. Our parents hated him. We loved him. We still do. So here's your ticket. Come on and hang with us on the Crazy Train.
Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast.
Jaret, what's your first memory of Ozzy Osbourne?
What an insane question, because I have to tell, I want to begin with the aftermath of my remembrance of him. Well, the first thing I remember about him is fear. It was, I remember just, it was legend. Everybody was scared of this guy, and I remember opening up, I think it was like a People magazine or something. And then there was this ad, but I didn't know what it just said, "Speak of the Devil." And I was I was unaware that "Speak of the Devil" meant like, oh, we were just talking about you. I just thought it was some more Satan stuff. And it's like him with this little zombie guy behind him, and he's like barfing up this like jelly blood stuff. And I was just like, that's the most terrifying thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
But fast forward to the first time I heard him, and the reason that I remember it so specifically, it's because it's the day that I decided that music was what I wanted to do.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is a documented true story. It was in the 6th grade. We were doing multiplication speed tests. You had 100 multiplication things that you had to do, and you had to do it in under a certain amount of time. If you did it in under a certain amount of time, and you got 100, you got free time for the rest of that class in math. So I was pretty good at school when I wanted to be. And so I got 100, and I'm back in the back of the class. And Greg Norman, this kid, who I hung out with some, whose entire room was just nothing but Kiss, covering the whole thing or whatever. And he was a big Ozzy guy. And I was Michael Jackson, John Cougar, and he let me hear Crazy Train on his Walkman for the first time. And it literally changed. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Like, I don't know what I thought he was going to sound like musically, but it was so far away from being scary to me. and what's crazy is that, that story was such a good story for a long time. And now, Crazy Train is sort of like, it's at every sporting event. It's in commercials. It's on the
Sure.
Trolls movie. My child knows the words to all of the songs. But, you just have to know, he was like Marilyn Manson scary times 150.
Parents from here to Timbuktu hated him. Okay.
Yeah.
He was getting protests at every show from Christian groups and church groups. The man was hated, and his wife was orchestrating this behind the curtain,
Right. Yeah.
making this. I mean, what a better thing. Chris and I were talking about it recently, Jaret. What a better promotion for your album in the 80s than a parental advisory sticker,
Yeah,
right?
I know. That was what was crazy about that is I remember when that was happening, that was more like junior high years when the Tipper Gore thing and all of that. And, Dee Snider talking in front of Congress and all of this, there's Judas Priest stuff and, just subliminal messages. And it was so laughable, to those of us who actually listened to that kind of music, but it really got legs, and it became this thing where these guys became these villains. And, it really was this like satanic thing, luckily I had real hands-off parents as far as like censoring what I did. I watched what I wanted. I listened to what
So
I
did I.
wanted. Yeah. Like we had cable and, it was, my mom actually was really cool about, letting me listen to it. And she would like certain songs and stuff.
Yeah. Well, you just mentioned cable. So for the first couple of years I lived in Florida, my mom and dad and my brother and I lived with my grandparents. And then we finally found a house that we wanted and moved. But the first couple of years, my grandparents had gotten cable at some point, but they weren't going to pay for MTV. That was an upgrade.
Right.
So I didn't have MTV. And then when I got to my new neighborhood, when I was about 10 years old, just shy of 10 years old, and we moved, the cable ended about a mile down the road. It stopped, and we didn't get cable till 1986. This was 83.
Wow.
I had to go to my friends' houses that had cable to see MTV, because I was trying to think when I had to have heard Ozzy in 81, 82, 83, maybe not knowing, but my first memory was that summer he moved into our house, and I met Mark Cruz, a good friend of mine. A lot of the Less Than Jake fans will know he was immortalized in a Less Than Jake song called Mr. Chevy Celebrity. But Mark, I believe his older brother Greg might have had these records. I don't know if they were Mark's, but it was the first two records, man. It was Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman.
Yeah.
And those covers with the blood and Ozzy's in the haunted house and the upside down cross, and it scared the living tar out of me.
Yeah.
So much that I found myself knocking on his door every day under the guise of coming over to play and hang out. I just wanted to stare at those Ozzy records.
Yeah, those are the first two that I got, man. It was that day. That day that Greg Norman played me that song, my mom took me to Record Town across town, and it's Texas. You have to drive everywhere, and so I couldn't.
400 miles to the record store.
Exactly. There was no, you couldn't ride your bike really anywhere but Whataburger and this department store called Gibson's, but and I got Blizzard of Oz and I got Diary of a Madman on the same day, and just absolutely that was the original door that opened, and then from there after that it was Motley Crue, and I was just hooked forever.
Well, let's go back to that time period, Jaret, because I can't understate, like, now you raise kids in the internet generation. My kids, they everything is at their fingertips.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Anything they want to know about. That record cover or that magazine cover that we would get, that drive to Record Town. Remember that anticipation? What that was like?
And just sitting there with that album. And in fact, that's one of the things that I was going to talk about when we got into actually talking about what we're going to talk about today. But Ultimate Sin, I think, is the actual last LP I bought, because that before I switched to cassettes, because that's about 1986.
Yeah.
And about halfway through that school year, January, I believe, of that year. And so it would have been right about then. And that is sort of the last one that I remember putting the record on and just staring at the cover, and just opening it and the inside and looking at the back cover. But all of those Ozzy records, the Iron Maiden records, they were just, Kiss were masters at it, and in fact, I just patterned the new the new live Bowling for Soup record completely after Kiss Alive too. Like I did,
As you should.
I put the pictures of the fans in there and all of the stuff because I just used to be so consumed by all that. Like, oh man, that guy was having a great night.
Yeah. Well, something's crazy, and this award now may go to No More Tears because that record was huge. But at the time, The Ultimate Sin was released on January 24th, 1986 on CBS Records. It was Ozzy's highest charting studio album at the time. Before we got rolling, I was talking to Chris about that. 6 years. That's a good chunk of time, okay? From the first record with Randy until Ultimate Sin. Think of the lore of him and Black Sabbath and everything. Live Aid, the biting the head off the bat, okay? It's no surprise, even though Ultimate Sin only yielded one big song, but it was a huge hit, Shot in the Dark, which we're going to comb through today and talk about.
Yeah.
I knew that was probably your favorite Ozzy song. It's my favorite Ozzy song.
Yeah, man, I got to tell you though, it's the timing, I think. Because if you go back to MTV, if you go back to the videos that preceded Shot in the Dark, so it'd be Bark at the Moon, and it would be, those.
So Tired.
Those were these, like, you really just never saw them. There wasn't this place. He hadn't really made those so that they fit that whole MTV format. I don't think he spent the money, they weren't slick. In fact, they were real dark and just sort of like kind of silly when he's in the suit and stuff. But Ultimate Sin, before that came out, Shot in the Dark, being the single or whatever, like it was all over MTV. I mean, it was like that's when like he had sort of crossed the whole Fear thing, and now he's at the 5 o'clock countdown, and he's getting played sometimes during the day, and you're like, whoa, this is weird. I've never seen this video during the daylight. It's but 86, it just seems like that's about when, you got to remember all those other bands that were scary were also on MTV, and we already had Bon Jovi, and, there was just so much happening.
How many guys did you know that would write Ozzy on their knuckles in between classes?
I did it all the time. I did it all the time. And several of us, I have tattoos right above my knees where his smiley faces are. But mine are Milo and the Screeching Weasel. But that's a full on tribute to him. It was all over. People called me Ozzy. Like I was just the Ozzy guy. And that's just how big he was for me. Really through Ultimate Sin and almost into No Rest. Like I was starting to listen to a little bit heavier stuff, but I still absolutely loved that record. But it wasn't. Ultimate Sin is the one that. The one like real Ozzy record that when it came out, my mom took me to the record store on the day and I got it that day, and everything else preceding that had been sort of like after I had started listening to him, and it was, sort of limping in kind of thing. But this was a huge, huge record for me.
Yeah, well, a couple more things. We're going to bust into this song. It was a top 10 hit on mainstream rock radio. It was also his first single to chart on the Hot 100. It peaked at number 68. Of course, Ozzy started his career in 1969 with Black Sabbath. He left in 1979 after the Never Say Die record. And man, within 6 months, the guy had a band together. I mean, this was a raging drug addict, alcoholic.
Yeah.
Sharon had taken him under her wing. And the next thing you know, the guy has this amazing solo career. I'm going to go out on the limb here, though. I love Randy Rhoads, innovator. What he did between the ages of 22 and 25 when he passed away, you can't put a price on it. It's amazing. I love Zakk Wylde, too.
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say.
Jake's my favorite Ozzy guitarist.
Same.
He's incredible.
100%. I absolutely agree with you. You can't take away the legend of Randy Rhoads. I mean, the thing about Randy is at that age and at that time or whatever, he's put up there, with all of the, like he gets mentioned with Jimi Hendrix, and well deserved. That's great. And yes, Zach, the thing that he brought was like this new, unique style, and it really updated Ozzy's sound and stuff. But Jake, easily my favorite Ozzy guitar player.
Yeah, just his tone, his phrasing, the use of chorus. I mean, he'll be playing these 6-string strats that sounds like a 12-string.
I
It's
know.
just the guy's incredible. And something you may not know in researching this song, I knew there was a version with Phil Soussan. Now, Phil was the bass player. He only played on one Ozzy record, Ultimate Sin. But Phil was in a band called Wildlife in 1983. They cut an original version of this, okay? It was two brothers, Steve and Chris Overland. Simon Kirk of Bad Company played drums in this band. There was a keyboard player, and Phil played bass. You can find it online. Chris is going to play a clip here at some point of the demo, and it's unrecognizable almost till you get to the chorus. It kind of sounds like Mr. or Toto or something. And I have a feeling that this may have been, Jaret, where Phil maybe knew Ron Nevison, the producer.
Wrong side of town, the streets are quiet, the city's sleeping. Gathering clouds and at the beat of a drum. I had no choice in the choice that I made. Just like a shot in the dark, shot in the dark. Chasing the night away, like a shot in the dark.
You know, this record, I don't like the production on it, but I can't imagine Shot in the Dark being produced any other way.
I know, it's so different in that, like, the keyboards are so heavy in it, you know, and like the dong 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 dong. It doesn't have sort of like that pizzazz, but it's somewhat reminiscent of like the pop stuff that's happened. I mean, like, it makes sense that if you heard it, you know, before this, that, you know, it sounded more like a pop song.
Well, Nevison came to, you know, he was prominent for bands like Heart. He was like an AOR, an album-oriented rock guy, but, you know, he cut his teeth as an engineer in the 70s with Quadrophenia by The Who, Bad Company's debut album, which that answered my question, because Simon Kirk was in Wildlife with Phil, so that's probably that connection. But he also engineered Meatloaf, Zeppelin, UFO, Survivor, Jefferson Starship, etc. Now, go back and listen to Survivor and Heart, and tell me it's not the same snare sound as Ultimate Sin. It's the same boxy, hollow snare sound.
When you said Heart, it automatically, you hear that the harmonies that happen on One Step Away From You. You like hear those harmonies or whatever. And you're like, Ozzy had never done that before. He had harmonies and stuff, but never to the point of where there's like this insane stack, you know, like that. That was definitely the first time we had heard him really do that. And that makes a lot of sense. And you know, sidebar here, we would not be doing a service to his amazing roster of guitar players if we didn't mention Brad Gillis from Speak of the Devil, you know.
Yeah, and we do need to give a nod to Brad. After Randy passed, they didn't fold shop. I don't think Ozzy's grief would have let him. They wanted to continue with the tour, and they got Brad, who I don't even know if Night Ranger had done Dawn Patrol yet, the first record.
I don't think so. I think this is before. And I think, you know, that's, and then they did the live record. And for those of you who don't know, you know, if you have a lot of fans of this show that are musicians, so I'm sure that I'm, you know, speaking to the in the know peeps, but, you know, Brad Gillis from Night Ranger is actually an unbelievable guitar player. Like,
oh my gosh.
He's like unreal. And then he gets in this sort of like pop metal band who wrote radio hits very, very well, mind you. But, you know, he's like one of those dudes that doesn't necessarily always get to show his stuff, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I want to get in to the track, Jaret. It's 4 minutes and 16 seconds. Shot in the Dark, the intro. There's a lone tom hit. Doom.
Yeah.
And it sounds like toms with no skins on the back. It sounds exactly like the toms of Survivor, which Ron produced their Vital Signs record and a couple other ones in the 80s. But that tom hit, there's also a bass that happens with that lone tom hit at the top. And then there's 8 bars of drums, bass, those keyboards you're talking about. They're here and they're loud. And a quirky little guitar lick. What a weird sound that is, right?
Yeah. Dong, 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 yeah, I mean, it's just like...
And that's all Jake. That's not on the demo.
I know, and it's just this
that's
really
not on
cool
Phil's demo.
thing how that sits there, and just sort of, you're like, okay, what is about to happen? And, for me, I always hear, the video of the girls talking, or whatever, and they're going up to the club, and, it's just this is such a video driven song for me.
It is, and it's so funny because by this time period, all the bands on MTV were like 21, 22 years old. Ozzy was like 35.
Yeah, Randy was pretty young, I think. The drummer, Randy Castillo.
Randy Castillo.
Yeah,
during this time, probably.
Yeah, I think he was really young. So I actually had to look this up because when you said the thing about the tom, I was like, man, I wonder if Tommy Aldridge played on this because he would have had those classic sounding drums from the Black Oak, Arkansas, and that stuff.
Right.
And one of my favorite drummers ever. But I loved Randy as well.
Yeah, this was Randy, Jake, Phil, and Ozzy on this cut.
Yeah.
And I don't know who played keyboards. Don Airy was gone by this time. I'm not sure who did the keys on this. It could have been Nevison for all I know. But after that quirky guitar lick intro, it's followed by 8 bars of stereo rhythm guitars, along with the drums, bass, and keys. Great use of harmonics, sus chords, and pinch harmonics. Randy didn't do too many pinch harmonics, if any. Zach Wilde,
He's the guy.
After every phrase, after every bar.
Yep.
I think Jake was perfect in his amount of the pinch harmonic.
Well, and also just the picking pattern here. This riff is so good. And it's just like, I didn't want to get ahead of myself, but what I love about the intro is that it sort of serves up this just like sort of, it's like this ramp to this riff that comes along or whatever. And then you're like, oh, okay, here we go. And now we're cooking with gas. It sounds like Ozzy.
Yeah.
Out on the streets, I'm stalking the night. I can hear my heavy breathing. Ain't for the kill, but it doesn't seem right. Something there I can't believe in.
I highly encourage you, Jaret, to listen to Wildlife's version.
Oh no, I'm going
definitely,
to. Yeah.
Ozzy definitely made this a little. I don't think you can call this song evil in any way, but he made it a little more Ozzy, and not only in his delivery, but the lyrical content. But verse 1, out on the streets, I'm stalking the night. I can hear my heavy breathing, paid for the kill, but it doesn't seem right. Something there I can believe in.
Mm-hmm. Now, if I remember this correctly, lyrics were not in the packaging. And so I remember having to sit there and decipher all these, and most of them I could get pretty quick, but you got to remember that he also sings, he's got a real thick accent and he doesn't sing with it. So sometimes it's hard to understand what he said. But the cool thing about the production of this particular album was his vocals are sitting so on top of it, that you could get most of it just sitting there writing it out.
Well, and that's why they brought Nevison in, man. They were going for that pop sheen. And remember, around this time in 86, everybody, Judas Priest, Quiet Riot, Motley, they were all going to keyboards. It was just the thing that was happening in hard rock and metal.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's one of those things, though, where I equate it to the mid-90s with horns. You guys were all doing it. So we did an album where we put some horns on there. We weren't ska, but, it was just like, hey, or just even Goldfinger. It's a rock band that does it. Let's just put horns on shit, and that was just the thing, right? It's just, I feel like it was like this, especially when you had one guitar player like that who was so good, you didn't want to muddy it up by like doubling and tripling and all of these things because it really took, all of those little single note little things that he was doing out of it. So in order to build that track up, you could put those pads of keyboards on there, and let's be honest, they were pretty limited on what it could sound like. It sort of sounded like a keyboard most of the time.
Yeah, I think sound guys, I've talked to some sound guys that were working back then, Jaret, and they liked the low rumble of the B3s, some of the lower stuff that sounded percussive.
Yeah.
They could really get it up in the mix.
Yeah.
And that stuff's cool. Bands like Uriah Heep come to mind with those low growly organs. The Who used organs and piano all over their records. You couldn't necessarily hear them, but they'd blend them with chords. But verse one's really cool. Drums, bass, and it's this clean arpeggiated guitar. Jake's sweeping and picking is just, it's next level.
Clean. It's so clean.
It's so clean.
Yeah. It's, just, and before Trickery too, this is recorded to tape. You had to be able to sit there and play it, and man, we all know that is not easy to sit there and do,
No, we all have our strengths. I can pick pretty good arpeggio wise up and down, but if I want to string skip like what Jake's doing, I can do a little here and there. But when I say string skip, you know what I'm talking
100%.
about, where it's not the up and down pattern. It's what is this guy doing? And if you want to even go further, look at someone who did a fantastic job at the Ozzy tribute on July 5th in Birmingham, England, which was Nuno Betancourt.
Oh, yeah.
His performance.
Dude, that's who I was going to say. So I wasn't even going to tie it into Ozzy. I was just going to go listen to Nuno play guitar on anything. And that dude skips strings all the time. And it's just so good.
He might be the best guitar player still alive.
Oh, man.
He's unreal. Pre-chorus 1, those distorted stereo guitars, they come in along with drums, bass that are still there carried over from verse 1, and that clean arpeggiated chorusy guitar.
Voices are calling from inside my head. I can hear them. I can hear them. Vanishing memories of things that were said. They can't try to hurt me now. But it's shocking.
Voices are calling from inside my head. I can hear them. I can hear them. Vanishing memories of things that were said. They can't try to hurt me now. Man, I love Crazy Train. I love I Don't Know. There's stuff on No More Tears. There's stuff all over Ozzy's catalog and with Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Lyrics. But you said something earlier. I think it was the time I was so influential as a 13-year-old when this came out. I was eating and breathing and sleeping on a different cellular level than I am now, right?
100%. And one thing about this song that we haven't talked about yet, which really, really interesting that we're already in the pre-chorus is he's singing down in his register. Like you got to remember, like screams break the silence, and
he's up there.
All of his singles really up until now have been sort of in that upper sort of Ozzy reference. This is like voices are calling from inside my head. I mean, that is down for him.
I've never thought about that. That is interesting because go back and listen to Sweet Leaf, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, any of those songs. I mean, he's wailing at the top of his register.
Yeah, and most of the singles up until this point, I can't really think of one that's really sung down. I mean, maybe one of the ballads. Yeah, so definitely like Goodbye, I say, maybe some of that stuff. But all of his fast songs, and that's how it goes. Millions of people, he's up. And here he is. We're not to the chorus yet, but he'll fly up on a pre-chorus, and he's still pretty far down there.
Well, and I wonder if that was a Nevison call or a Phil call. And I didn't A/B the original version of this, and Phil did a version in 2012. He recorded all the instruments himself. It's a great version. I don't recall if there were the 3 songs or 2 of them are in the same key or not, but I wonder why he didn't sing this higher. Yeah. Why was it in this key?
Well, I mean, I guess maybe just because that gets up there pretty good. One step. That's the harmony, but shot in the dark, one step away. See, he's still down. I mean, it's just not one of his ones where he's sang really high.
Uncharacteristically Ozzy, which, let's go back. This song wasn't written by Ozzy. It was written by Phil.
Sure.
There's a little bit of ambiguity here, whether how much of Ozzy's lyrics came in or if they were Phil's, but they are way different from the original version. So I like to think that Ozzy, if he didn't have any lyrical input, he certainly had his singing input and his stamp on it. But chorus 1 comes pretty late in the game here. We didn't get to the chorus too quick. It's 1 minute and 2 seconds.
Wow.
But a shot in the dark, one step away from you, just a shot in the dark, always creeping up on you. All right, lead vocals are doubled here. We get harmonies on one step away from you and always creeping up on you. Drums, bass, distorted stereo guitars, and the keyboard synth is all running through chorus 1. Come out of that and go into a 4-bar reintro, drums, bass, stereo guitars, and keys, like the back of the top of the song intro, like the back half. Taught by the powers that preach over me. I can hear their empty reason. I wouldn't listen. I learnt how to fight. I opened up my mind to treason.
Yeah. You sort of hope that was his lyric, because it's sort of autobiographical, but who knows? But I mean, these lyrics they're so Ozzy, it's almost like if Phil did write these, what was he thinking? Because it's very, very, very Ozzy. But yeah, I mean, Ozzy lyrically, he's no Kiss. I mean, he doesn't really ever get so cheesy that like you go, oh, and I don't want to alienate myself from your viewers, but I'm on record as saying Kiss are the worst lyricists in the history of music.
Yeah, not great. There's some crazy, terrible moments.
Stick My Log in Your Fireplace is the absolute just. I mean, that I wouldn't even debate. I would just go, stick my log in your fireplace. I'm going to go.
Yeah. Classic Gene Simmons lyric from Burn, Bitch, Burn.
But, they certainly, he had his every once in a while, a little bit of cheap, but he was good at painting a picture. And I think that's what was cool about being a really big Ozzy fan back before, video was everywhere. Listening to those old records.
Hey everybody, don't go anywhere. Our special Ozzy tribute episode with Chris and Jaret will continue after a few words from our sponsors.
Looking to elevate your music career? DistroKid is a digital music distribution service that enables musicians to distribute their music to online stores and streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, Tidal, and many more. DistroKid collects earnings and payments, sending them to you, the artist. With DistroKid, artists unlock a world of possibilities. From easily paying collaborators with splits, to securing your music with DistroLock, DistroKid covers all bases. Plus, you can promote your releases with Hyperfollow and create eye-catching visuals with a Spotify Canvas generator, all for free. But that's not all. Introducing the DistroKid app, now available on iOS and Android. Artists can manage their releases, view streaming stats, and withdraw earnings, all from the palm of their hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. With its simple interface and customizable mastering options, artists can make their music sound polished and professional within minutes. And don't forget about Instant Share, DistroKid's newest feature. Share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more, ensuring your music streams at the highest quality. Ready to take your music to the next level? Download the DistroKid app and explore their suite of tools today. Plus, listeners can enjoy 30% off their first year by visiting distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes. That's distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes.
Sean Bean and Connie Nielsen star in Robin Hood. From Sherwood Forest to the Norman Court, a classic tale reborn for today. The story continues to unfold. New episodes Sundays on MGM+.
When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast? Smart move. Being financially savvy? Smart move. Another smart move? Having State Farm help you create a competitive price when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
More rewards, more savings. With American Express Business Gold, earn up to $395 back in annual statement credits on eligible purchases at select shipping, food delivery, and retail subscription merchants. Enjoy the benefits of membership with the Amex Business Gold Card. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
I'm Scott Hansen, host of NFL Red Zone. Lowe's knows Sundays hit different when you earn them. We've got you covered with outdoor power equipment from Cobalt and everything you need to weatherproof your deck with Trex Decking. Plus, with lawn care from Scott's and, of course, Pit Boss grills and accessories, you can get a home field advantage all season long. So get to Lowe's, get it done, and earn your Sunday. Lowe's, official partner of the NFL.
Wayfair's big sale is returning. Get ready for Way Day. For 4 days only, score up to 80% off all things home with free shipping on everything. From October 26th through 29th, score Wayfair's best deals, like up to 80% off area rugs, up to 60% off mattresses, up to 60% off bedroom furniture, and more exclusive doorbuster deals. So mark your calendar and shop Way Day starting October 26th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Every day, thousands of Comcast engineers and technologists like Olu Shei are working to build the best sports viewing experience.
Some of my favorite moments throughout my life are watching sports with my dad. Now I work at Comcast as part of the team that created our AI highlights technology, which uses AI to detect the major plays in a sports game.
And now, millions of sports fans will never miss a moment. Visit ComcastCorporation.com/sports to learn more.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I don't know if you've heard, but Mint's premium wireless is $15 a month. But I'd like to offer one other perk. We have no stores. That means no small talk. Crazy weather we're having. No, it's not. It's just weather. It is an introvert's dream. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right. And naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about anything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys. Tito's is known for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits to serve its communities and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's. Distilled and bottled by 5th Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly.
Hey everyone, Chris DeMakes here. And I've got some exciting news. Chris DeMakes a Podcast is now on Patreon. Your support is what keeps this show going, allowing us to bring you deep dives into amazing songs from incredible artists every week. When you join our Patreon at chrisdemakes.com, you'll get instant access to hundreds of episodes of The After Party, our weekly bonus show where producer Chris Fafalius and I talk music history, trivia, tour stories, classic albums, and whatever else comes to mind. Plus, you'll get early ad-free episodes of Krista Makes a Podcast, unedited video versions of each episode, and, of course, a brand new episode of The After Party every single week. If our show brings you a little joy, help us keep it going strong for just a couple bucks a month at chrisdemakes.com. Not ready to commit? No problem. You can sign up for a free membership while you decide. Thanks so much, everyone, and I hope to see you all at The After Party.
And now, back to the show.
Do you remember, I'm sure you do, loving a song immediately? And this was one of those songs for me. You know, I used to stay up late. 95 YNF out of Tampa was my station. I know you know the call letters of your station growing up.
Yeah.
And I'd stay up and I would tape the radio shows. I'd tape the shows late at night. And out of nowhere, it hadn't hit the magazines yet. If it did, I missed it. And the magazines at the time were Hit Parader, Rolling Stone, Circus Magazine, Cream, whatever else. But all of a sudden, the disc jockey comes on and says, it's a brand new one from Ozzy Osbourne.
Right.
Off the brand new album. It's called Shot in the Dark. And I hit record.
Yeah.
And I was hooked instantly. I loved it immediately as a kid. Not every song was like that for me. I didn't like everything. And some things took a second. I just loved it right off the bat. But pre-chorus too.
But just like the wounded, when it's too late, they remember, they'll surrender, never again for the people who hate, underestimate now.
But just like the wounded, and when it's too late, they'll remember, they'll surrender, never a care for the people who hate. Underestimate me now. Verse 2 and pre-chorus 2, it's the same overall instrumentation as verse 1 and pre-chorus 1. And then we get into chorus 2, Jaret, which is 1.5 times.
Yeah.
I love little things like that in songwriting. We don't have to double the chorus, but it comes 1.5 times, which interestingly enough, on the third chorus, it does it again. We'll get there. They don't ever truly double the chorus, which I thought was cool.
That is interesting.
In chorus 2, we get the same setup harmony-wise, but a shot in the dark, harmony on One Step Away From You. Just a shot in the dark, nothing that you can do, a harmony on that. And just a shot in the dark. On that third one, Jake does this really cool descending, the guitar riff changes on that time. It's great.
Yeah, so good, man.
It's so, those little things, and I've talked about them with songwriters. That's the only time in this song that happens. But it's a hook. It's special. It's something that if it wasn't there, it wouldn't be the same, at least to me.
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, that's the thing, right? About like bands that do that thing where because again, this is one of those things where he didn't really have to change that follow up. Like, shot in the dark, one step away from you, nothing that you can do, always creeping up on you. There's a different line each time or whatever. Like it's just, it's one of those things where he could have repeated himself, but he didn't. There's just so many little nuances. You go back again to that, as far as a hook goes, that, it's all just stuff that's in your head. And it's interesting I always, I have this thing where I talk about how I always like to listen to what other people come away from songs, what they whistle, like, hey, if you were to listen to that song and and you go, hey, you thinking back to that song, you're like, what would you whistle right now? And sometimes it'll be one of those little weird little parts or whatever that just stuck in their head. And you're like, see, that's the beauty of a hook.
And you're right. I'm gonna reference your band here for a second. I mean, nobody listens to 1985 and thinks it's the Nirvana song or it's the Bruce Springsteen song. They know it's 85, and sometimes that's just, that is what you need to make a hit song. After chorus 2, 8 bars of an instrumental bridge, drums, bass, stereo guitars. Sounds almost like I never thought of this before. It sounds like Jake's playing a slide there.
Yeah.
Like on the lead. Wow, 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 wow.
Yeah.
That part. Before it gets into the guitar solo, it sounds like he's using a slide, and then we get into the guitar solo. It's drums, bass, stereo guitars, and lead guitar, and the tapping. He does this tapping at the end of the solo that brings it to a crescendo to where the song can then fall back down into pre-chorus 3. I love pre-chorus 3. But just like the wounded, and when it's too late, they'll remember, they'll surrender. Never a care for the people who hate, underestimate me now. We get the same lyrics as pre-chorus 2 here, but coming off that solo, it just, I don't know, it just feels so refreshing to come back to that part.
I love when he does that thing where he'll go, they'll remember, they'll surrender, where it's just like, it's like this same sort of line, but he like exclamates it, with just a little bit more or whatever. Just such a fun little songwriting trick right
it's
there.
It's a call and response with himself.
With yourself. That's exactly right. Yeah. And one sort of like, they'll remember, they'll surrender. And it's like, oh, okay, now it's victorious, right? They'll never underestimate me now, right? That's just, it's pretty powerful.
It is. And I'll tell you, I went back and looked at set lists over the years. There was the 90s were weird for everybody. Sure. In particular, metal bands and hard rockers trying to find their footing in the 90s. But barring a short period when he didn't play it, I mean, this song's a staple of his had been a staple of his set list throughout his solo career, and it should have been. It was a huge hit for him. It's a great song.
Yeah, I'm with you though. I think that throughout the years of Ozfest and those things, like you've got these insanely heavy bands opening up for you. Perhaps
System of a Down, Slipknot, Pantera. It's like you're not going to go out and play Shot in the Dark, probably, right?
Right, exactly. Though, I mean, and again, that's the thing, right? It's what happens with the way nostalgia works. It's like, Ozzy is this big icon in the 80s, and then sort of like the 90s happen, and it's like Ozfest and stuff like that, but he's not even the main draw to his own festival anymore.
No.
And then nostalgia kicks in, and then the 2000s and the aughts and all that start to happen, and then all of a sudden he is again, right? So that was the thing, is like he almost sort of had to in the 90s blend in with what it was he created, sort of, you know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, and then no one has a crystal ball. I never had one. You didn't either. If I would have asked you in 1998 if you still thought you'd be hanging out in 2025 touring the world, I don't know what you would have said. And I would have told you were full of baloney if you would have said, I'll definitely be doing it. None of us had a crystal ball, but here's Ozzy going along, and we're gonna finish the song here in a second, but I wanted to throw this in. Think about what he became in the early 2000s with the Osbournes. I mean, that opened up a whole other audience, and here I was as a huge fan. A lot of fans didn't like him for it. Oh, he's a buffoon. He's acting this. I knew it was scripted.
Sure.
You knew it was scripted.
Of course.
Bert from The Used told me stories. He was dating Kelly back in the day, and he was on the set of some of those films.
Yeah.
Like, they'll have the director come out and go, okay, now we're gonna piss off the neighbor again. Okay, we got to take the cameras out there. It's all scripted, you know.
Totally,
but he built this stunning career, and hats off to his wife. You could say what you want about her, but she was definitely the big orchestrator with his career, and certainly Ozfest.
Not to mention, Chris, sorry to interrupt, but another tip of the hat to Sharon, especially since we've lost Ozzy, let's also not forget what she stuck with him through, and it's drugs, cheating, alcohol, disappearing, shooting things, what she stuck with him through. And a lot of people don't like her business practices, and that's fine. It is what it is. I mean, I understand that she's very ruthless and whatever, but hey, a lot of managers are, if she weren't female, would we be saying that she's too ruthless,
Yeah,
like, are we going Doc McGee's too ruthless, right? I mean,
that's funny you say that. I think what other female manager is as prominent, is as big as she? I can't think of one.
Can't think of one.
Certainly she was intimidating. Here's this woman that's kind of, for all intents and purposes, changed the business. I mean, she was the one of the, if not the biggest manager at some point. But after chorus 3, that chorus again is 1.5 times. We get into the outro. It's the intro riff on those stereo guitars with drums, bass, and the keys. And Ozzy says, "Just a shot in the dark," 4 times as the song just kind of winds down. I know for a fact this is my favorite song because I can go back to that living room, my mom and dad's brown carpet. I can see the stereo sitting there on the brick next to the TV, and 95 YNF, the jock comes on, and this is the new Ozzy, and it takes me right back. And those memories and that nostalgia, that's why we hold on to that. That's why we love music so much, right?
It's so true. And, again, for this, this was such an anticipated album for me because I was going to get to go buy it at the store. MTV was finally showing Ozzy on there. In fact, my original
it's a big deal.
My original recording of this song was from TV, my jam box just sitting in front of the TV. So at the end, I just always hear, "Oh, is that Julie? Oh, no way. It is her." And that's, because she's up on the sign, right? You know, and I still hear that every time I hear the song. But yeah, I mean, let's just, the time too, like he was less, black and clothing and this, and the eyeliner was thick, his hair was big, and there was a lot of sequins.
There was a lot. Yeah, he was trying his best. Poor Ozzy and poor Gene Simmons in the 80s. They did not make good-looking drag queens at all. not at all. You could put the wig and makeup on them, and they didn't look too good.
No.
Ozzy's tribute show, Jaret, of course, on July 5th, the who's who in the industry showed up. The world showed up for him, broadcast around the world. Ozzy passed a short 17 days later, July 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
He held out, man. Like, I saw him up there. My father died from Parkinson's, so I lived with that disease. I saw what the man was going through. He said that he stopped pain medication a couple days before because he wanted to be lucid enough to look at the teleprompter and do what he had to do.
Yep.
All things considered, he did great. He went out his way. Which rock star, getting up there in their late 70s can say 17 days before they died, they headlined a stadium to 100,000 people?
Yeah, all chanting his name. And, he got up there, he sang beautifully, and, he wanted to stand up so bad, and saying my grandfather died of Parkinson's. And my grandpa was very important, influential, and instrumental in my upbringing. And so same, it's a horrible thing to watch. I saw a thing after the concert, and he just goes, it's obvious I'm dying, and it wasn't one of those things where he was just being cute. He was just saying, like, I'm just really happy I made it this far. And, you hear the thing he said on his deathbed to Sharon. He said, "I had no idea this many people cared about me."
Yeah. And they did. And I remember, and we're going to sign off with this. I remember my mom as a kid, I don't remember who it was, but it was on TV. Some famous actor had died from her childhood. I remember my mom crying in the kitchen and standing there as an 8 or 9, 10-year-old boy going, I don't get it. Well, why would mom cry over some guy? And, you know, my heroes are dying now. I get it.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking. You know, this guy was a part of my childhood, and he did mean a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah, I went into my son Jack's room. You know, I wouldn't say I was the biggest Ozzy follower over the last 20 years, you know, but he was so important to my development and you know, my, you know, even just entry into music and that original intro to the journey. And I went into my son's room and just, you know, I was out and in a tears and texting with some friends, and you know, I made a little video, and that's exactly what I said. I tend to be a little bit vulnerable on my social media, and I just said, you know, I've reached that age where not only am I starting to lose friends, but you know, all of my heroes are passing away.
Yeah,
you know? And
man.
it's a very interesting time, you know, to sort of not be surprised, but yet punched in the gut at the same time. You know, it's an interesting thing to navigate.
For sure. Well, the man, the myth, the legend, Ozzy Osbourne, thank you for being you. And hey, I got to leave us with one last thing. Can we give a shout out to 76-year-old Bill Ward?
Oh,
not giving a damn, taking his shirt off at the stadium and rocking for all to see. That was amazing.
And also those guys being able to this far in, being able to put their egos aside and letting that, even though it's the Black Sabbath thing, letting it be Ozzy's day. That, you know, again, after all they've been through and after all, you know, multiple singers and egos and this and being friends and not being friends, you know, for them to all rally around him, for Geezer to go over and grab the cake, you know, and make sure that Ozzy got to see it. You know, a lot of people thought he ran off the stage. He ran off the stage and grabbed a cake, but I'm not sure everybody saw. You know, he came back over, and it just, you know, they managed to let go of all that, and not only, and in doing that, I think it exclamated how much it was about them all.
Thank you for saying that. I thought the same thing. I agree with you. Thanks for bringing that up and mentioning that, because it was Black Sabbath's last show, but we were saying goodbye to Ozzy, right?
That's right. Yep. We were saying goodbye to Ozzy. And, you know, in their own way, they were too. You know, and these guys were kids. You know, he was just this ex-con guy that they got from down the street to come in and just shout shit on a microphone, you know? And what did they go on to do? You know, probably, you know, well, I mean, in the top, probably 10 bands, biggest bands of all time, you know, and one that will look on, you know, it's fun. I know we got to go, but I will say that, you know, there's this part of me that was so glad that he hung on as long as he did and went through all that, because you mentioned the Osbournes, and, you know, I definitely wasn't a hater of any of that, but it did make him into sort of this cartoon character. And again, like me trying to explain, you know, what his the folklore of Ozzy Osbourne in the 80s was, and coming out of the 70s and the Alamo and, you know, all of this stuff. And then you're just like the guy that is like freaky about Chipotle, you know, and
stumbling around his living room.
Yeah. And I just feel like had we lost him then, which I know we probably could have many, many times, the legend would be different. And it's so
he would have just been the buffoon on MTV reality show.
That's right. Yeah. And the fact that he made it through all that, and the Ozfest and the reunions with Black Sabbath and the reunion with Zach, and, you know, all of these things, you know, he basically made it back to hero status, and that's when he said goodbye. And for that, I am really, really thankful.
Heck yeah! Well, we're gonna leave it with that, Jared. I want to thank you for sitting in today and talking about Ozzy and our shared favorite song, "Shot in the Dark." And to Ozzy Osbourne again, man, you were our hero. You are our hero, and rest in peace to you.
Rest in peace.
Hey friends, have you been loving Krista Makes a Podcast? Well, spread the love by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't hesitate to share what you enjoy about the show in an actual written review on Apple Podcasts. Not only does it help more people discover us, but we often read reviews in the wrap segment of the show. It's a quick, cost-free way to support us and takes just a minute of your time. Your reviews mean the world to us and help us keep the podcast thriving. Thank you for being a listener, and thank you for being a friend.
As a raider scavenging a derelict world, you settle into an underground settlement. But now you must return to the surface, where Arc machines roam. If you're brave enough, who knows what you might find? Arc Raiders, a multiplayer extraction adventure video game. Buy now for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Rated T for teen.
Doug. Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu? Is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.